Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Well, after rain throughout the Bay Area all morning, a gorgeous afternoon has developed for football. And before we get too much further, let's check in with the fourth member of our broadcast crew on the field, Laura Oakman.
Thanks, Matt. We all know Frank Gore is a football freak. He tells me he spends most of his nights at the Niners facility watching film of old school running backs. I'm thinking Walter Payton, maybe Barry Sanders. No, he says LaDainian Tomlinson and Edgerrin James. Seriously. Anyway, after a season-low 40 yards, Frank says he watched a lot of himself this week, and for all the people who say the Saints figured him out, just put 8 in the box against him, Frank says, I've seen that front all season long. He says it wasn't them, it was just a very bad game. Guys, what do you think, and how old do we feel?
Yeah, Lauren, thanks. They start talking about old school backs, Edgerrin James.
Yeah.
What does it say for...
Edge is playing old school, that's about it.
Joe Nedney ready to begin the proceedings with a short kick. Vernon Morency, the deep man for Green Bay. He starts the return at the 12, is across the 30, and finally brought down at the 34-yard line by Marcus Hudson. So Brett Favre and the Packers go to work for their first offensive possession of the afternoon. We've already talked about it, guys. Brett Favre has played very well against the 49ers throughout his career, but this is a completely different cast around him and a different group of 49ers.
And they've got to start fast. One thing they've done offensively is they struggled early in games. They've got to start fast and build some momentum and some confidence for these young guys.
With Amon Green in the backfield, the hand is to Green. He's tackled across the 40-yard line, close to a Green Bay first down. Let's meet the Packers' offensive line. 3 rookies in charge of protecting Favre. They're an athletic, younger group. Tony Mall starts at right tackle for Mark Tosher, who misses his 4th consecutive game with a groin problem. The Packers' backs and receivers, perhaps the only bright spot in their loss to the Jets last week. They did get the running game back again. Amon Green ran for 102 yards, and Donald Driver is just 57 yards shy of 1,000 this year. Second and short. After a good first down run by Green, they go with Green again, good for a first down. The 49ers defensively, Mike Nolan likes to move between a 3-4 and a 4-3. He told us Friday he expects to see more of the latter today. Brian Young is a handful regardless, 6th on the all-time sacks list. The linebackers, without their perennial leading tackler Derek Smith, out with a hamstring. Veteran Jeff Ulbrich starts the first time since October for him. And in the secondary, Shante Spencer out. Donald Strickland gets the start at corner.
And Mike Nolan knows how important it is, fellas, today to shut down the running game, which was problematic for the 49ers last week on the road in New Orleans.
Favre changing the play on 1st and 10 from midfield. Booting and finding an open Donald Driver for a modest pickup, tackled by Keith Lewis.
I think if you look at this game today, fellas, for the Green Bay Packers, other guys need to make plays besides Donald Driver and Amon Green. And if you watch him over the last 3 weeks, Amon has certainly been up and down. Now, he got 100 last week against the Jets prevent defense, but Donald Driver in the passing game has become too much of the go-to guy. Greg Jennings, Bubba Franks, someone else has to get something done.
2nd and 6 now. Vernon Morency in the backfield with Favre. There's that quick pass to the left side again. But wrapped up immediately is Greg Jennings.
And you know, Tim, defensively for the 49ers, you're talking about for the Packers, Amon Green and Donald Driver. I think if you're the 49ers, you've got to take away Amon Green. If you can stop him, limit him, take him out of the game in the running game as well as the short passing game, now you can roll coverage to Donald Driver. Now you can take him away also, force those other guys to make plays. And like you said, no one else has stepped up for this offense.
3rd and short again for the Packers. Brandon Myrie, the fullback, in motion. The hand to Amon Green. He finds a hole good enough for another Green Bay first down. Keith Lewis again making the stop for San Francisco with help from Bryant Young up front.
Good matchup all day long is going to be the rookie Jason Spitz right here at right guard. And he's going to be going against Bryant Young and a host of others today. Just keep your eye on him as they run this power zone. He's got some pretty good push on B-Right right there and did enough of a hole. Did you see that, JC? Got his arm wrapped around Bryant Young's shoulder to not give him the ability to fall back in on that cutback.
The driver in motion. The toss is to Amon Green. And And once again, running behind Spitz and Maul. A gain of a couple before Lewis and Ulbrich combined for the stop.
You know, Tim, you were talking about that matchup with Spitz and Bryant, but the one thing about the 49ers up front is they've got to be careful. They can't get knocked off their feet. The zone blocking scheme that the Packers run now, a la the Denver Broncos and some other teams, Atlanta Falcons, they want to come out a lot of times, chop those big guys down up front, get them worrying about the cut block and create some seams.
Called a gain of 5. Zach Alcorn, the man in motion. And the end around with Driver. He's hit in the backfield for a loss. Walt Harris, the reigning player of the month in the National Football League, defensive player of the month, and good penetration for the loss.
I'll tell you what, this was a great play by Walt Harris. He's playing well against the pass, but he's also showing up against the run. Now also, in that time, he does a good job. You're going to see Walt Harris right there, 27. He beats the block, comes up, beats another blocker there by Jason Spitz, and is able to make that tackle.
Spitz didn't want any part of that athlete in space, did he?
The Packers are around the middle of the pack in the NFL on third down conversions. Ravell Martin is checked in for Green Bay. Brett throws into the corner for Jennings. Inside the 10. Keith Lewis had coverage for San Francisco. It's a gain of 33 yards for the Pack.
Now they go to the no huddle.
And there's your challenge flag quickly before Favre can snap the football. The red challenge flag is on the field. Did anybody see it?
Yeah, you gotta wonder if he had both feet in, obviously. I mean, Brett gave him some sideline to work with. Did he come down with both feet in before he had possession of that football? And you see Greg Jennings here.
San Francisco is
there's his right foot
on the field of a catch.
No, that's no catch. That's out of bounds. He got one foot in, the left one stepped out. That ball's coming back. Good challenge by the San Francisco 49ers.
This one shouldn't take long to review.
Want to get away? Now you can. With Southwest Airlines Internet Specials, you can fly to over 60 destinations nationwide for just $49 to $159. Purchased by December 14th.
You are now free to move about the country.
Brunch, $30.
That's okay, Wendy. That was a good carry. You're still the man. You're the man.
Latte, $4.
Shake it off, Johnny. Rub some dirt on it.
New piano, $3,000.
All right, guys. They're not saying boo. They're saying movers.
Supporting your team. Priceless.
All right, Bobby. You still got the best dog in the neighborhood.
There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
This is decaf, right?
When's it gonna start? They'll be here any minute.
It's that time of year again, when you'll find exceptional values on your favorite Lexus vehicles. The Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Fox NFL Sunday is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 41.
Clear day, you can see all the way to Alcatraz, and you don't need to have that kind of vision to see that Greg Jennings was clearly out of bounds on that 3rd and 9 reception, guys.
And you know, that was a rookie mistake by Greg Jennings. He's got to know exactly where he is on the field. He's got to lean back into the field of play. He's falling out of bounds, and that's why that left foot comes down out of bounds. He's got to understand where he is. But, Tim, young guys, the little things make the big difference.
Absolutely, and you're right. You got to lean and snuggle into the safety there and get your left foot down.
The receiver only had 1 foot down in bounds. It's an incomplete pass. San Francisco will not be charged a timeout. 4th down on the 38-yard line.
As you know, fellas, it's 1 foot in college football, 2 feet in pro football, and that's all the stuff. I mean, you talk about numbers that have spiraled downward in the last 6 weeks. Greg Jennings, and they'll tell you, even Brett Favre will tell you, I think the guy hit the wall. He really did. you know, maybe these young guys, they thought their season was over weeks ago. It's the little things like that. That, to me, now maybe he couldn't have got his left foot down, but
you
the
got to
concentration of not even attempting to get the left foot down, to me, clarifies a rookie mistake.
And that's the key about the rookie wall. A lot of people think that it's only physically, but it's mentally as well, because this game, the NFL, I mean, 90% of it is mental and understanding what to do and when to do it and how to do it.
Well, that'll bring on the punting unit for Green Bay as Ryan's kick to Brandon Williams will get into the back of the end zone, and San Francisco takes over at the 20. Possession of the afternoon. Smith coming off the loss in a disappointing performance at New Orleans. He's had a lot more success at home this year as the 49ers started with a 3-wide set. Warren Norris in the backfield. And the hand is to Frank Gore around the corner on the left side for a gain of 5 yards before A.J. Hawk wraps him up. Let's take a look at the Niners offensive line. Right tackle Adam Schneider hurt last week in New Orleans, so Quaim Harris gets the start today. He's going to have his hands full with Aaron Campbell. We'll definitely be watching that matchup all day. Backs and receivers look for first-rounder Vernon Davis to be on the field a lot today without Eric Johnson available for San Francisco.
And surprisingly, Matt Antonio Bryant is not on the field.
Billy Bajma, the man in motion for San Francisco on second down. The hand again to Frank Gore. Good for a Niner first down, and there he goes. There's no bringing Frank Gore back. Down the sideline, Charles Woodson, rather, Al Harris shoves him out of bounds inside the 5. A 72-yard gain on second down.
And you know, that's what's so impressive about Frank Gore. He's not a big, strong guy, but he breaks tackles. Once he gets through that first wave at the line of scrimmage, look at the tackles that he breaks. Right there, he breaks through 2 guys, and now it's a foot race.
Pretty good blocking up front, too. And you're right. I mean, breaks tackles as good as anybody in pro football. You just can't wrap him up. Keeps his body up in front of his legs. How about the down block by Jonas Jennings and the kick out by Vernon Davis? That got it done.
And a flag now on first and goal.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the huddle on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
The 72-yard run by Gore, by the way, ties a career long. Not what Mike McCarthy wanted to see on the second play from scrimmage.
Well, that's going to be the challenge when you look at Green Bay. I mean, they haven't stopped the run to save their lives. But, you know, Jonas Jennings, and talking to the 49ers, Matt and JC, offensive tackle, he said last week we completely got away from the run game. We are who we are. We got to pound the rock. Frank Gore needs his 25 touches, and so far so good here early in this game.
Maurice Hicks in the backfield on first and goal from the 7. The hand is to Hicks trying the right side, and he's smothered for a loss. A.J. Hawk and Ryan Pickett among those that made the tackle.
You can always talk about, you know, runs and great runs, but watch the down block here, and then watch the tight end kick out on a defensive end. That's not an easy block for a tight end. And there's just no squeeze. And then Charles Woodson, I mean, he is nowhere in that hole to try to bring down Frank Gore.
And that's what Gore does best. He leads the league in yards after initial contact, and you see why. He just runs through guys.
Guy's amazing when you look at him, right? And he doesn't really pass that eyeball test. He's a guy that's going to light it up, but he does.
On second and goal, Smith looking to pass, and that pass is incomplete. Intended for Brian Gilmore. You know, getting back to Frank Gore, we were told the other day, and Mike Nolan's among those to point this out, the guy's got a fantastic lower half. All the weight is from the waist down.
Right. Well, this game is played with your legs. I mean, this is an explosion game played from the core down, and clearly is what Frank does best.
It's where the power's at.
That time of year again, when you'll find exceptional values on your favorite Lexus vehicles. The Lexus December to Remember sales event.
With every kiss, with every step, love grows. Celebrate life's journey together with the Journey Diamond Necklace from Kay Jewelers. Multiple diamonds arranged from smallest to largest to symbolize how love has grown. From Kay, where every diamond is hand-selected to match beautifully.
Every kiss begins with Kay.
I've been really good this year.
On the door, only 3 teams in the NFL have scored more points in their first possession than the 49ers. 3rd and goal from the 7. And move Beckel in motion before the snap. Alex looking, end zone, throwing, and it's batted away. Good coverage that time by the Pro Bowler Charles Woodson.
And that's one of the things when we talked to Norv Turner that he was concerned about. He knew that they were going to get tight coverage outside, and his receivers have to separate. You can see right here, Gilmore just doesn't get enough separation.
Charles read that route the whole way, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's an old wily veteran. He knows how to read routes, and he just jumped all over it.
You know, interesting, guys. Antonio Bryant has yet to be in the football game, the #1 wide receiver for these 49ers. Gilmore has taken his reps.
Joe Nedney from 24 yards out, a wobbler that just squeaks through. The 49ers on the board first in San Francisco this afternoon. Well, 6-play 49er drive ends with a Joe Nedney field goal, and it was consummated without Antonio Bryant, as Tim mentioned.
Very interesting if you look at him and reading his body language. Hard to with Antonio Bryant because he's always angry if you try to read that body language, but surprised that he's not out there. And I know last week he had a nice touchdown, but also gave up on what ended up being an interception, fell down on a timing route that really hurt him. I wonder what the ambition of Mike Nolan is today to keep him on the sidelines and not start the football.
And, you know, he's an emotional guy. He's subject to blow up at any time.
Vernon Morency across the 20, the 25, spinning across the 30, and finally tackled at the 36-yard line as we check in for the first time this afternoon in Los Angeles with Chris Rose.
Hi, Matt. Well, the Houston Texans passed on Vince Young in the draft. This is Vince Young passing Houston Texans players en route to the end zone in overtime. Nice homecoming for the kid as the Titans have won 4 straight. We're partying at Vince's house tonight. Matt, JC, Tim, you're all invited.
The hometown hero in Houston, huh?
How bad are they feeling now?
Oh, my. How about Tennessee 6-2 in the last 8 games?
You gotta smell that one coming, too. It's Rubel Martin in motion for Favre on 1st and 10. The hand to Amon Green. And not much around the left side as Ronald Fields wraps him up at the 40.
You know, you wonder about this defense and their intensity over, you know, the last couple of weeks. They got to 500, they got to 5-5, and thought they were all of a sudden getting happy and going to the playoffs. And the last 2 weeks in particular, I think the game at St. Louis defensively crushed these guys. And then last week down in New Orleans, I think the game just got away from them in the second half. But I think Brandon Moore getting in the line of some of the other guys, it's definitely been an attitude adjustment for these guys on that side of the ball.
After a gain of 3, play action, Favre looking down the middle of the field, has a wide open Donald Driver across the San Francisco 40. First down, Green Bay. A pickup of 21 yards, and we'll see if Favre in the Packers passing game tries to exploit the inexperience at left corner. This play was run against Walt Harris.
Right, and Donald Driver, everybody knows that he is Brett Favre's guy right now. The 49ers know that when they drop back the pass, they've got to roll their coverage to him.
How about the protection versus the blitz? Nolan is not going to let Brett sit back there and pump it once, pump it twice. He's going to send the heat. Green Bay picked it up.
Green running right and tackled by the middle linebacker Jeff Ulbrich, who again is getting the start this afternoon.
You know, the thing about this Niners defense, too, is last week they played a 3-4 against the New Orleans Saints because they were worried about Reggie Bush and all the guys there in New Orleans. Today they go back to the 4-3. Their main focus today is stop Amon Green, stop the running game, and then try not to let Brett Favre get hot on him. That's why they've got a 4-down lineman set, and they want to try to get those big guys up the field.
3 receivers set for Green Bay. Play action, Favre all by himself into the corner, a wide open Rubel Martin, touchdown Packers. Everybody bought the play fake. Career touchdown number 412 for Brett Favre.
And that's why these two defenses, the 49ers and the Packers, are the two worst scoring defenses in the league. They make too many errors. We saw Green Bay miss tackles on the long run by Gordon led to a touchdown. This time, San Francisco just entirely blows the coverage. Too easy.
It's a busted coverage, and I think it's by the right corner. He thought they were in 2, they were in 3. He didn't get any depth. He gave the sideline up to Ravel Martin.
The Packers take a 7-3 lead on Favre's 200th road touchdown pass.
American Pie.
Martin's first career touchdown reception has given Green Bay an early advantage. As we mentioned, Brett Favre now with 412 career TD tosses, now 8 shy of Dan Marino for the all-time NFL record. Quick scoring in San Francisco today early as Maurice Hicks is the deep man to receive the kick, and he is smacked down at the 21-yard line. Ball comes loose. Was it whistled dead?
Yeah, they got to go into the 49ers.
49er football, you bet.
You know, we go back to that touchdown. Walt Harris, the right corner, blows it. He's supposed to be in the deep third outside. They're playing cover 3. He rolls up like it's cover 2, and now there's nobody deep in that area. Just too easy, just a mental error.
And then watch the right defensive end, Melvin Oliver, just turn his shoulders, run down the line of scrimmage. There's nobody in front of Brett Favre out there trying to protect the edge and set the edge on the quarterback. That was just a bust from front end to back for the 49ers defense.
So first and 10 for Alex Smith. They mark the ball at the 21 on his battle in motion for San Francisco. And it's to Frank Gore. And no luck this time around the left side. A.J. Hawk there to make the tackle for the Pack.
Boy, is he starting to play, huh? A.J. Hawk, when you start to look at a guy that coming out of Ohio State where he made always seemed like the biggest plays in the biggest games. Some growing pains early in the season, but if you watched him over the last 6 weeks or so, you can see that his comfort level in this scheme is really starting to settle in. He leads the defense in tackles. We talk about a guy running sideline to sideline now. This guy's got a long future in this league running a hit.
Antonio Bryant has checked in. He's on the bottom of your screen, split wide with Taylor Jacobs. Looking for Jacobs. Pass is complete at the 25-yard line. Patrick Dendy had the coverage for the Packers.
And that's the one guy, Patrick Dendy, and talking to Alex Smith, that they want to target in this football game today and really feel like they can get into some 3 wide receiver stuff, and Dendy being the nickel guy, the third corner, they feel like he's the guy that's got the bullseye in his chest.
He's the target today, especially when you got Al Harris on one side, Charles Woodson out there. You don't want to test those guys too much, so you want to go after that inside guy, Dendy, number 43.
Again, Bryant still at the bottom of your screen on 3rd and 5. Here comes the big KGB pass rush, and Smith has to get rid of it quickly.
And that's what they want to see from KGB. They want him to get up the field, get in the quarterback's face. That's why they're going to spell him this week on rundowns, because they want him to save that strength and energy for 3rd downs so that he can get up the field. And actually, he comes from the other side. There's Campman on one side, and both of those guys are going to get some spells on 1st and 2nd down so they can get after the quarterback on 3rd down.
Jonas Jennings never got out of his stance. KGB was gone before he even lifted up out of that 3-point.
Charles Woodson deep for the Andy Lee punt, and it bounces out of bounds at the 33-yard line.
Some issues for the 49ers in their secondary. There's Shante Spencer, their starting cornerback. He's injured with an ankle. He's not even dressed. Donald Strickland took his place. Now he's on the sideline with an injury. So now they're down to their 3rd corner over there in Sammy Davis. So you got to think that Brett Favre, the Packers know that, and Sammy Davis is going to be a target again.
Can they take advantage of it, though, being Green Bay with their ineffectiveness at anybody beyond Donald Driver in that receiving corps in terms of a 2nd and 3rd wide receiver?
They split driver out wide on 1st and 10 as the Packers begin the drive at the 32. Brent looks for driver but now finds Greg Jennings for a Green Bay first down.
And guess where they went? Right at Sammy Davis. They know exactly where he's at. They know that he's a backup guy, and he struggled earlier in the season against Seattle when he had to come in, got beat for a long touchdown. You can see he just turns his hips too quickly, and now he misses the tackle.
Takes a bad angle. I mean, when your guy sits down in front of his own, you got to force it back to your help on the inside. Bad angle, missed tackle.
Trying to run on first down is Ahman Green. Well, the Packers have really had trouble running on first down this year. The worst first down rushing efficiency in the NFL, and rushing efficiency defined as carries of 4 or more yards.
Kind of difficult when you're starting 3 rookies up front, really. And you know, there is going to be some growing pains. You got a rookie at right tackle, you got a rookie at right guard, you got a rookie at left guard. And then you got a young center in Scott Wells, who's only a 3-year player. So that zone scheme also takes a lot of time and timing to get that thing to work in unison, a lot of reps.
Generous gain of a yard credited to Green, and everybody moving a free play for the Pack. Favre dumps it off to Bubba Franks, who crosses the 45-yard line. Again, flag on the play.
Offside. Number 94 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
We got the tackle Marcus Douglas on the offsides call. You know, we talk about how they're banged up at corner, the 49ers guys. They're not healthy inside either. At linebacker, there's some problems, and we've already seen Jeff Ulbrich making tackles. One has to wonder how he's wrapping people up.
Yeah, well, he had surgery on that wrist and thumb just a week ago, and had been playing nickel defense in terms of being the middle linebacker with Derek Smith going down, and there's Derek there. Jets had to transition right back into the center of that thing playing with the ball.
To Ahman Green, and tackled without a gain. 49ers certainly paying attention to what's happening in Arizona with Seattle. Chris Rose brings us up to speed.
Well, Matt, actually Arizona's playing at a different speed than Seattle right now. Edgerrin James coming off his first 100-yard rushing game with the Cardinals. He's in from 7 yards out, and it's 14-zip out in the desert. Back to Matt, JC, and Tim.
Look at that Arizona running game. Huh?
Where's it been all year?
Seahawks again can clinch the NFC West with a win and a 49er loss here. Big stakes in Week 14. The flip to Donald Driver. The end around is smothered for a loss. Second time the Packers have tried to run that play, and it's been a loser both times. Chad Williams making the tackle for San Francisco. On comes the Packer punting unit.
And a questionable call here, especially with the injuries in the secondary. They just try to run and reverse it. Chad Williams, 25, does a good job. They're playing zone coverage, so he's just dropping into the flat, and he's right in the right spot.
Brandon Williams deep for the John Ryan punt that almost gets swatted away. It takes a decidedly Packer bounce, and Patrick Dendy downs it at the 2. Things bouncing nicely for the visiting Packers. We remind you to join us next week. The NFL on Fox will bring some of you the Lions and Packers or the Bucks and Bears. And in the second game of our doubleheader, Eagles and Giants, some will see the Rams and Raiders. That's next week on Fox.
Big win for those Giants today so far, huh? They've been able to do Philadelphia as well. I think Philadelphia is laying down. Everybody thought Donovan McNabb done. The Eagles are done. Garcia's rallied him a little bit over the last couple of weeks. They're right in the middle of this thing.
And you see that a lot. When the headliner goes down, your big-time guy, everybody else seems to rally around the replacement guy and really start to play well.
Warren Morris in the backfield with Smith. And from the 2-yard line, the handoff is to Frank Gore. A little bit of breathing room there as Gore brings the ball out to the 4. Well, Frank Gore began Week 14 as the NFL's 3rd leading rusher. He has had a fantastic sophomore season.
The beauty about him and what Mike Nolan will tell you, he's running at 5.5 yards a pop. The guy is playing at a Pro Bowl level. There's no question about that. The thing is, though, is he's stayed 8 in the box most of the year and has still been able to put up big yards. The thing Mike loves about him the most No sideways. Said Frank is north.
Downhill.
That's what I love about Frank Gore.
He's got great vision, and he also catches the ball out of the backfield, so he's a complete running back there.
2nd and 7. Frank Gore again. Did he fumble the football? He did. Packer football. And that's been an issue for Frank Gore.
Exactly. That's the one downside to Frank Gore. That's his 6th lost fumble this year. That's more than any other running back in the league. That's been the issue for Frank Gore, is handling the football and hanging on to it.
I'm not so sure he ever got this thing from the start, to be honest with you. You see him just a straight belly to the left. Well, yeah, he lost it right from the get-go. It looked like it was a good handoff, but he never cradled it and got it locked in there, and it slipped out of his hands. And then he went down to the ground and looked like he fell on it. But you know how it is at the bottom of the pile. Charles Woodson got in there and slipped it away from him.
The quick pass, and maybe a gain of a yard on the play, and I mean really quick. Donald Driver came out of nowhere. I think before the 49ers were even set, Driver had the football.
And that's just a sight adjustment right there. That's called that quick alert pass. Whenever you see a guy uncovered, you just hike the ball and throw it to him.
It's called red zone tempo. If you can get down there and play fast, you've got your guys sitting back on their heels on defense.
Here come the Packers again, the end of the first quarter. Fox NFL Sunday returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. 7-3 for the visiting Packers at the start of the second quarter. A Frank Gore fumble giving Green Bay a great opportunity here to start the second quarter of play. Packer football as they switch ends of the field at the 5. Changing the play, moving William Henderson. Rolling and throwing, and the pass is incomplete. Sammy Davis had the coverage that time on the intended receiver, Greg Jennings.
And you see Brett Favre that time. He comes to the line of scrimmage. He identifies where Sammy Davis is, and he knows that they're playing man coverage, and he tries to check to a play for Greg Jennings just to turn around and run that little stop route in the end zone.
There's no doubt that Sammy Davis has been targeted all year long for the San Francisco 49ers. And that was a high pick for the Chargers. They traded, remember, our high pick for your high pick, and got Rashawn Woods down there and down in San Diego. Sammy Davis has had a tough year here for the 49ers.
3rd and goal now for Favre. For Donald Driver, and thrown behind him, incomplete.
And the ball was thrown early, but there was a reason. Roderick Green came on that blitz, number 54. Going to see him. He's just going to shoot in on the blitz.
A couple guys.
As well as Chad Williams off the corner, too.
Yep. Donald Driver. Brett did not unload that ball quick enough. Here comes the overload blitz. They're just going to send more than the Packers can block. That's why Chad Williams was a free runner. Donald didn't get his head around quick on the adjustment. Brett was late with it.
Well, San Francisco had to settle for a field goal after a 72-yard run by Frank Gore, and now the Packers settle for a field goal after a gift of a fumble.
NFL Sunday is sponsored by Visa. Go on, live life, and remember that no matter what it takes, life takes Visa. By Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Let's build something together. By Xbox 360. And by Chevrolet, America's brand Chevy, an American revolution.
A 10-3 lead for the visiting Packers in San Francisco this afternoon. Second quarter just underway. And giving it away, something that's been a problem for San Francisco this year.
Well, just as much of a problem. You look at all the fumbles, the most in the NFL, but the points off the fumbles and off the turnovers that the defenses allow. So that's a heck of a job in sudden change with your backs against the wall to come out and limit Brett Boys to 3 points.
Yeah, but, you know, it puts the defense in a bad situation, but it also makes it tough on themselves offensively because now they have to play catch-up. And so often they have to play catch-up. They get out of their game plan like they did last week. So those turnovers not only affect the points on the defensive side, it hurts their offensive game plan as well.
That's a good point.
Well, we'll see if San Francisco comes right back and tries to reestablish Frank Gore. That's something that most head coaches will do. Gore's the guy, whether he fumbles or not.
No, you got to feed Frank Gore. That's the bottom line. I mean, 25 to 30 touches, and whether it's 20 runs and 10 10 times he's a target in the passing game. One way or another, Frank Gore's got to get his hands on the ball 25 to 30 times. He's the MVP of this offense.
He's the guy that makes it happen for him.
Got a flag before the play.
False start. Number 21 offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And it's on Frank Gore.
See, he's just itching to get the ball.
Yeah.
Because I want it.
Exactly.
Guy has been through so much when you talk about the adversity and the injuries in college and coming here and getting nicked. And, you know, it was interesting in talking to Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Packers. Did he know when he was here last year as the offensive coordinator that Frank Gore was going to be this type of impact player? He said no question.
He said, yeah.
This guy is special now.
It's always after the fact to say, oh, yeah, I knew it the whole time. I knew he was going to be good.
1st and 15 now. They try with Frank Gore again. He breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet, and wrestled down at the 22-yard line. Seattle is on the scoreboard in Arizona. For more, let's check in once again with Chris Rose.
Yeah, Matt, thanks for stealing my thunder, pal. Here's how it happened. Matt Hasselbeck, DJ Hackett, and the Seahawks are now down just 7 out in the desert. Back to 3 men in the booth. Matt, JC, and Tim.
I'm never going to get it to Chris Rose that way ever again.
Yeah, just throw it to him, man. Don't ever steal that man's thunder.
Seattle and San Francisco play this week. And if Seattle loses, San Francisco wins here. It's just a game separating the two. And remember, the 49ers have beaten Seattle once this year. Smith passing on the misdirection. He's got Delaney Walker. The seldom used target is across midfield. Charles Woodson knocks him out of bounds at the Packer 48-yard line.
Well, they set this play up very well. They fake the run right there, but now they're really setting up the screen. Alex looks to his right and sets it up and throws it back to Walker on the other side.
Well, and the beauty of it was they set it up so perfectly because they ran the same play before except handed it off. And Frank had a nice chunk in the running game. You know, Delaney Walker, I think he was a flanker coming out of college, came in and made this football team, so they like him out in space in the passing game.
Did you see Cullen Jenkins trying to catch him?
Almost had him.
Almost blew a hamstring.
Smith being chased by the KGB, and he throws incomplete right before he's hit. Well, the Packers really need to try to utilize the outside speed of Badja Biamila. He's been getting some criticism locally back in Wisconsin because of his ineffectiveness against the run.
And that's why they're going to give him some blows early in the series, 1st and 2nd downs. He's not a real big guy, so teams have been running at him, but his strength is pass rush. They've got to keep him fresher on 3rd downs, get to the quarterback.
And what did Mike McCarthy tell us yesterday? He said, heck, I looked at KGB right in his face and said, you know, if I was playing against you, 245 pounds, I'd run at you too on 1st and 2nd down. So they want his 3rd down production going through the roof. That's what they want, his sack numbers up.
2nd and 10 now. Jonas Jennings having trouble with KGB, and Smith throws it away again. Perhaps a bit prematurely that time.
KGB had Jonas Jennings spun around. He was in a turnstile right there. Did you see that? This is going to be a good matchup to watch all day long. Jonas Jennings, a good player, faces the best every week. KGB just working him, just spun him around. And then he fell for the little screen fake inside. Thought he was going to come in and make one of those Jason Taylor type plays on the screen, and Alex just unloaded it.
So 3rd and 10. As the Green Bay right end has been disruptive this drive. Smith looking deep down the middle. And the pass is caught. Taylor Jacobs with a brilliant grab inside the 10, and now they're saying out of bounds. No catch. Boy, some real aerial theatrics that time from Taylor Jacobs, all for naught.
Did he rule that out of bounds or a force out? Because to me, that looks like it's in. No, right knee's out. Yep, right knee is out on the strike. Left foot down, right knee down on the strike before that right toe lands inbounds.
But what a great effort by Taylor Jacobs. And the difference between that and what Greg Jennings did earlier for the Packers is Taylor Jacobs had no other choice. He had to lay out to go make that play. Great effort, great catch. Just unfortunate that that right knee came down out of bounds.
We have seen a lot of Taylor Jacobs as Antonio Bryant has played sparingly here in this first half for San Francisco. And Andy Lee in the punting unit on for the 49ers. Charles Woodson deep for the Pack, and he's going to let this one sail over his head and into the end zone. Alex Smith running for his life from the KGB.
Head coach. Yeah, Utah.
This January, the Tostitos Bowl Bash comes to Fox, beginning with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the FedEx Orange Bowl, the Allstate Sugar Bowl, and concluding with the Tostitos BCS Championship game. All beginning New Year's Day right here on Fox. Pass intended for Greg Jennings, incomplete. Alex Smith will certainly be watching on January 8th.
Yeah, Alex Smith played for Urban Meyer at Utah. Urban was his head coach. Said he talked to those guys down there, and they feel good about the game against Ohio State. Florida thinks that they've got too much speed.
Yeah, and he'll also tell you that Urban Meyer, who's all smiles right now, he said that's a front. The guy's a grinder. He's a grinder.
At 5-0 for his last 3. And on 2nd and 10, a quick play fake. He spins and hands off to Amon Green. Marcus Douglas is there to plug the middle after a gain of a couple.
Boy, it's interesting in watching and talking with Brett Favre. I don't know about you guys last night, but just sitting down with him, and it almost seems like it was therapy for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for about an hour and a half, we had a nice long conversation about Brett and his past, his present, and his future. And well, there's a lot of things going through number 4's head right now, aren't there?
I don't know how much fun he's actually having now. He didn't seem like he was having a lot of fun anymore.
3rd and 7, 5 out of the shotgun this time. And the pass caught by Donald Driver for a Packer first down, tackled at the 42-yard line. Again, they're working on Walt Harris that time. Hannibal Navies came up to make the tackle from the outside linebacker spot.
But I tell you what, if you give the guy time, he can still do this. He can throw the football, and working right here. Obviously, they want to go to Donald Driver. That's his guy. 49ers playing zone. They actually were bracketing Donald Driver, but Walt Harris was too far inside. You're going to bracket the guy. When he turns around, you both have to converge on him.
They try it again with Amon Green. And not a whole lot of luck on the ground thus far this afternoon. Bryant Young there to make the tackle for San Francisco.
And that's the one thing about Brett. I think you saw a good illustration of it, fellas, on that last throw to Donald Drivers. He can still heat it up now with his arm. He said he doesn't have a lot of belief in his legs anymore, outside of the pocket and trusting his lower body and running. But if he gets time, and there's no rush on him, those zones will break down. He said he can still heat it up and zip it in there pretty good with big-time velocity.
Well, Brett still very much thinks he can make all the throws, and there are few that will challenge that, certainly not in Green Bay. Pass down the middle, Donald Driver wide open again, picking the 49ers apart across the middle of the field. First down, Packers.
And the Packers, they've got some issues in their secondary. Not only do they have some injuries and some backup guys in there, but even when they were healthy, they had issues giving up big plays down the field. And obviously, they see something there in Donald Driver working the middle of the field. They haven't thrown vertical with Donald Driver. They have him working the middle of the field, and he's finding a lot of room.
Well, if they're going to play that umbrella coverage, he's going to continue to window shop in those holes back there in that zone stuff.
On 1st and 10. This is Vernon Morency changing direction and across the 30. Let's check in on the field with Laura Oakman.
Well, we're watching them pick apart the San Francisco secondary, and that looks like it's going to continue. Donald Strickland taken into the locker room. He's being fitted with a knee brace. He limped into the locker room, looked like he was pretty frustrated, but they say his return is probable.
Well, Laura, thanks. And an already banged-up defensive unit for San Francisco, a little more shallow now in the secondary. They're testing Mike Nolan's defensive depth here this afternoon. 2nd and 2. Again, it's Morency in the backfield with Favre. Brett keeps it, throws down the middle of the field into double coverage. And luckily for Green Bay, incomplete. Davis and Lewis had coverage, each of them with a pick opportunity. Let's check in quickly with Chris Rose in Los Angeles.
All right, Matt, keep your eye on Phillip Rivers. Takes the handoff, goes between the twigs, or should I say tree stumps of Lorenzo Neal. It's his 6th career rushing touchdown in 14 seasons, and the Chargers up 14-3 over Denver. Back to Matt, JC, and Tim.
Well, Chris, thanks. And with Kansas City losing today at home, San Diego can clinch the AFC West with a victory over Denver. Ahman Green is across the 25-yard line. Hannibal Davies again on the tackle for San Francisco after a gain of 4.
As you look at Ahman Green and the 3-game losing streak, and I know he got up over a C-note last week. I think a lot of that was against that soft prevent D that the Jets were running. The guy's really had a pretty good year, coming off the quad tendon last year and that bad injury. Had great rehab. He's already over 1,000 yards in terms of all-purpose yards. And I think, considering his injury, he's played pretty well here in 06.
Yeah, and that's the question that they have going forward next year is Brett Favre and then Ahman Green.
Favre with all kinds of time. He takes the dump-off pass. Donald Lee makes the reception. And it's a gain of 11 for Green Bay.
Tell me, JC, what Isaac Sapwaga is doing covering Donald Lee. You got a 340-pound nose tackle trying to cover Donald Lee or somehow getting in his kitchen.
And you try to, they do a lot of zone blitzes, and see right here on the boot. And this is a situation where Brett, he doesn't trust his legs anymore. The old Brett Favre, or the young Brett Favre, rather, would have ran that ball. He had a lot of room down there.
1st and 10, quick pass to Greg Jennings, and he is gobbled up immediately. Sammy Davis saying, enough is enough. Tired of J.C. Pearson talking about me being a target.
It is what it is,
that bullseye? Where is that bullseye?
5-yard gain for Green Bay.
Any way you slice it, though, they need to be more multifaceted down in the red zone. Their red zone numbers have not been good all year. I think because nobody else besides 30 Ahman Green and Donald Driver have come up with big plays. Bubba Franks, Greg Jennings, someone else needs to do something.
Packers were turned away after a fumble early. Another quick pass to Jennings, breaking a tackle and down to the goal line.
See, Matt, going back to Sammy Davis, and I'm not harping on the fact that he's not making plays, which he's not making plays, but right now, it's a pride thing. You know that they're coming at you. It's happened in the past. You got to step up, have confidence in yourself, be aggressive at the line of scrimmage. You see Jennings is down right now, but he can't give those guys so much room outside.
Greg Jennings has been slowed by an ankle problem the past few weeks. We'll be back. As we mentioned, Greg Jennings has been bothered by an ankle problem the past few weeks. It's been speculated that that's part of his productivity issue, and it looked like an ankle is what took him off the field here on 1st and goal. So the Packers responded with a 2 tight end set. Franks and Lee out there with Favre in the offense. 1st and goal for Green Bay. This has been a nice long drive for the Pack. At the start of Week 14, only the Titans had fewer 5-minute drives than Green Bay. But the Pack is good for an 11-play, 5-minute, 45-second affair here. Favre rolling, and that pass is batted away by Keith Lewis.
And then that's another opportunity there that the younger Brett Favre would have taken advantage of. He would have ran that into the end zone. There's only 2 guys out there, Keith Lewis and Ahman Green right there. The ball is thrown behind Ahman also. You got to get that ball out in front.
Yeah, either that or Brett getting a little more air under it, because Ulbrich was running with him. He gets a little more air up and under that. That's an easy touch. Good play by Lewis.
2nd and goal. And this time they run it through for a touchdown. Ahman Green. His 5th rushing touchdown of the year.
Watch the big fellas. Low man always wins. Watch this side of the line of scrimmage as they try to just pound it in. guys are trying to torpedo up and under, and then Ahman Green just sees a little crease of daylight up in there. Slides it in 2 yards for the touch.
Very efficient work by the Packer offense. 13 plays covering 80 yards to take a 17-3 lead. Well, this is one of 3 matchups in Week 14 of the NFL where a coach will make his first visit back to his most recent employer. Sean Payton going to Dallas later on, Lovie Smith at St. Louis today, and so far Mike McCarthy is getting the upper hand on his old head coach.
And there's a little bit of an advantage there because by him being here last year, he knows a lot of these players, a lot of their strengths, a lot of their weaknesses, and the system that they run.
Maurice Hicks splitting the middle and brought down past the 30-yard line. Packers on top by a couple of touchdowns. We'll be right back.
And on defensive meetings with his defensive coordinator, Bob Sanders.
Well, after last week against the Jets where they gave up 31 points in the first half and 340 yards, said, man, it's time to do something. We got to change some things. It got on the coaches, it got on the players, and they're playing better here today.
2nd and 8 now for San Francisco. Gore again spinning off tackles and tackled shy of the 40 by Nick Collins. You know, Mike McCarthy coming back to San Francisco, it's not like George Seifert or Bill Walsh coming back. In fact, Mike told us yesterday he never once went out to dinner in downtown San Francisco.
Something's wrong with that. I mean, NFL head coaches or even offensive coordinators, get a life, fellas.
Yeah. Well,
all the guys were asking, where should we go to dinner tonight?
Well,
I don't know. I never went up to the city to eat.
Well, I know, Mike, he's not missing very many meals. He just didn't want to drive.
3rd and 2 for San Francisco. Smith's pass is caught by Arnaz Battle, who's dragging Al Harris with him to midfield. Let's check in with Chris Rose in Los Angeles.
All right, guys, shocker here. LaDainian Tomlinson running it in. His 27th touchdown of the season, one shy Sean Alexander's NFL record. But another look, he didn't quite get in, but Denver didn't challenge. They're down 21-3. And take McCarthy out to dinner, guys, please.
Well, Chris, he told us that, you know, he knows all the restaurants around the airport, and that was it.
Yeah.
Something of a tragedy here in the city. Great eating town. 1st and 10 now. And the reverse this time. Vernon Davis, the ball carrier. They want to get the ball into the hands of their athletic tight end as often as possible, and they turn it into a nice gainer just shy of a first down.
Oh, my.
How about the big boy, Larry Allen? How many times do you think the rookie A.J. Hawk has felt something like this? As Big Larry's going to come from back here. He's going to pull outside, and watch the collision right here on A.J. Hawk. Look at the movement. Flipped him about 4 yards to his heels.
Look at him.
And A.J. never gets in on it. Larry Allen now. I was talking to some of the guys before the game. He said he goes in the weight room after practice, 650 pounds on the bench like it's nothing on a daily basis.
On the bench press.
Yep.
2nd and a yard. Frank Gore dancing, and he has just enough for a San Francisco first down. Let's check in on the field with Laura Oakman.
Tim may be able to help me out on this one. For 13 years, a disease has swept the league called Larryitis. It is a sudden and unexplained illness or injury that a defensive lineman suffers right before having to go up against Mr. Allen. A lot of great ones have had it and missed the game. I'm not quite sure, my defensive lineman in the booth, if you've ever suffered from any of those symptoms when you play Dallas.
And hearing that, I got to tell you, my shoulder's hurting right now. I woke up this morning, I don't know what's going on with it. I can't move it.
How about Laura calling you out? Calling you out.
Well, with Big Larry Allen leading the way, it's been a 100-yard rushing day for Gore. The big pass this time, and it's batted away by Charles Woodson, intended for Arnaz Battle, and Woodson is down. Charles Woodson's been playing hurt for much of the year. Good to see him get up on his own power there.
And has been playing well and was in blanket coverage right there. How about Alex Smith having some trust with Arnaz Battle, because he's well covered. He's just giving his guy a shot now.
He is. But again, Alex Smith, something we talked about, there was a lot of room on that bootleg for him to pull that ball down and run, something he hasn't done the last couple of weeks. He got away from running it. He told us that in the meeting, that's what they talked about this week. Get back to running the football when you get out on the edge, make some things happen. He had a chance there.
The ex-Raider is checked out. Charles Woodson on the sideline, replaced by Patrick Dendy. The handoff to Frank Gore across the 35. Nick Collins again making the tackle for Green Bay.
How about Nick Barnett asking him last night, the middle linebacker of the Packers, you ever played Larry Allen? He's not. Preseason, I think. I said, get ready, big fella. Here's Nick Barnett right here. Watch Larry Allen go out there and unload on him. Barnett's going to try to scrape, get to the play. Look at you run into 71, it's over.
You're done.
Forget it.
Next play.
He is an absolute beast. Blowing people up to the 3rd and 5 now for Smith. Gore got past the KGB penetration, but he stopped shy of a first down. Corey Williams in on the hit for the Pack. We will wind down to the 2-minute warning as Joe Nedney and the San Francisco field goal unit takes their place on the field. 2 minutes left in San Francisco with the Packers on top 17-3. Well, Charles Woodson being escorted onto the trainer's table. His return is questionable after the injured shoulder. And moments ago, Joe Nedney was replaced by Alex Smith. So the 49ers on 4th and 3 will give their offense a whirl instead of what would have been a 49-yard field goal attempt by Nedney. San Francisco 2 of 6 on 4th down this year. Pass caught by Frank Gore. First down, San Francisco. The Niners are inside the 20. Nick Collins making the tackle again for the Packers.
And that was big right there. That gave his team a shot of confidence. Mike Nolan, that is, in that decision to say, hey, we're not going to kick a field goal. We're not going to settle here. I've got confidence that my offense can get the first down, and hopefully we can get 7 points out of this.
And got it to the right guy, the MVP of this offense. In a pinch, go to Frank Gore. Put a real nice little pivot route on Nick Barnett.
Brian Gilmore in motion. Smith looking down the middle of the field. Now there's a pass rush. Here comes Aaron Campman, and Alex throws it out of bounds. Aaron Campman with 10 sacks, tied for 5th in the NFL, though that total has slowed down the last few weeks.
Well, a lot of running backs, they've been chipping with that offensive tackle on him, but I got to give Quaim Harris a little bit of credit. And there's that chip right there that Campman's been dealing with for the last 3 weeks. But so far in this game, and this was a matchup, and talking to Aaron Campman yesterday, guys, that all he did was come in and he said, Quaim Harris, big smile on his face. I said, you're going to have a good day against him. He says, I think I can, because Quaim has shown an inability on film to really be strong in pass protection. But so far, so good for Quaim Harris in the first half of this football game. You got to give him his props.
Yeah, especially when they're giving you some help chipping with that running back. Makes it a lot easier for them.
49ers have spent a timeout with 1:14 left in the half. We remind you at halftime coming up, it's the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy will be along with scores and highlights. The Fox Sports ticker will have all the latest stats, details on New England being shut out on the road in Miami, among the goofy final scores in the early games around the league today.
Fellas, you know what NFL stands for, right? You've heard it enough. It's the National Fake You Out League.
Fake you out.
You never know on Sundays. You kidding me?
Jacksonville defeating Indianapolis at home. Boy, the Jags are a pretty tough team when they're playing on their own turf. And again, all the details coming up on the Visa Halftime Show. It's a little matter of 2nd and 10 for San Francisco on their 11th play of the drive. First, however. Pass bounces off Delaney Walker, who's begging for a flag. It looked like Brady Papinga wrapped him up a little early.
Here's this matchup we've been talking about. Aaron Campman doing a pretty good job with a bull rush on Quaim Harris here. He's just going to come off and get outside and then just take him right between the numbers. And you see that Quaim gets up on his heels there, and some pretty good pressure forced Alex to unload that, which certainly enabled Papinga, the defender, to get there and get the break up.
And Campman, again, these last 5 weeks, only 1.5 sacks. They want to keep him fresher so that he can do just that. So he can be strong, fast, and quick and get to the quarterback on passing down.
They split Frank Gore wide to the top of the screen. San Francisco 1 of 5 on 3rd down, and that one incomplete, intended for Vernon Davis in the end zone, who was covered by A.J. Hawk. Interesting matchup there. The number 5 and 6 overall picks in the draft locking up in the end zone.
And Vernon's got to lay out and make that play. You know, he's doing a good job blocking. He's struggling a little bit in the passing part of this offense. He's got to be much better running routes, and he's got to go down the field. He runs a 4.38. You've got to use that speed and then lay out and make that play.
Problem is he's had a broken leg, so he hadn't been running routes all year. He's just basically sitting and trying to rehab, and his polish is clearly not there.
Joe Nedney from 36 yards out, and once again, San Francisco will settle with the field goal. 17-6 Packers, a minute left in the half. Once again, a reminder to stay with us at halftime for the Visa Halftime Show. We'll look around the league. A lot of final scores already from the National Football League. And among your early game headliners, Maurice Jones-Drew, Eli Manning with 3 touchdown tosses in New York's win over a slightly incapacitated Carolina Panthers club. And TJ Houshmandzadeh had a pretty big day in a Cincinnati win over the Crosstown Raiders.
How good has the little fella been for Jacksonville? Jones-Drew. Already a big week for those doggone Bruins last week, and now he's got to go out and roll for almost 200.
I think that's a sensitive issue for you.
Yeah, it is.
Being a U.S. vote. It's a sensitive issue.
Vernon Morency starts the return inside the 10, tackled at the 22-yard line, and about a minute left for Brett Favre in the offense. Well, speaking of New York, next week the guys at the pregame show will travel out to New York. Eagles and Giants. And Joe and the fellas will be set up in the wee hours of the morning. The pregame show live from New York next week here on Fox.
How about the importance of that game in the NFC East, with both of those teams still right in the mix in terms of the division and the wild card? Still a lot of football left in the NFC East.
So just under a minute here for Green Bay. Donald Lee in the ballgame and in the backfield with Favre. Pass caught outside the 30-yard line before Keith Lewis laid the hammer on Donald Driver.
Here's the deal with the 49ers on defense, and Brett has had a pretty good day here so far. The key is he's had all day to throw the football. When they blitz, the Packers have picked it up. When they've rushed 4, guys have had no chance of getting there. They got to heat it up with the pass rush.
The newest Packer, Carlisle Holiday, the ex-Fighting Irish quarterback, is checked in. The handoff to Ahman Green, who breaks it for a big first down run across the 40. The Packers spend their first time out of the half. 24 seconds left for Brett Favre to engineer the offense into perhaps field goal position or better after the 10-yard run by Green. A reminder tonight on Fox, Animation Domination returns, beginning with American Dad and The Simpsons. Then at 8/7 Central, it's all new episodes of The Simpsons and American Dad, followed by a full hour of the best show on television, Family Guy. It all starts tonight, 7/6 Central, only on Fox.
Animation Domination. Was that all by yourself? Did you make that up?
I spent the whole night
all week.
That one. That's a USC degree at work,
there you
Tim.
go.
So the ball at the 42 for Green Bay. And again, 24 seconds left. You almost look at a situation like this expecting Favre magic. Right out of the shotgun, pass caught on a quick slant by Donald Driver, who dives at the 50. Hannibal Davies making the tackle for San Francisco. A gain of 8 yards on the play. And again, the Packers spend a timeout, their second of the half.
Well, that's the thing that Mike Nolan will tell you about Brett Favre, is they can't allow him to get hot. And Brett is like, he's almost like a grenade, fellas. He can blow up anywhere and just start going and start shredding you and ripping you to bits. And that's what Mike Nolan, said the biggest thing as they get into this game is, limit them on and kind of set the edges and do all that and take Driver out. But Brett cannot get on one of those little things where he'll complete 4, 5, 6 in a row, and then you're really grasping for straws as a defense.
And the problem that they have offensively is, yes, he can get hot, but Donald Driver's really his guy. The only guy, Greg Jennings, the other starter, he's out now. Now you got Ravel Mark, guys that he really doesn't have a lot of confidence or timing with in the game now.
2nd and 2, 18 seconds, and a Packer timeout left. Here comes a pass rush, and Brett goes down and fumbles the football. Recovered by Brandon Moore. The time keeps a-ticking.
Why didn't the clock stop if it was a change of possession?
The ball was blown dead. That clock should have stopped.
They're going to have to bring people back onto the field. The Packers and 49ers are both headed to the locker rooms for halftime.
They're saying it's over.
There was 11 seconds left on the clock when Brandon Moore knocked the ball out of the arm of Brett Favre on the sack. Clearly they had timeouts left. Could have used them there. What happened?
Change of possession. The clock stops anyway.
Wait, I don't get it. That's
when Brandon Moore recovered that fumble.
And was down. He was already down.
Yeah,
the clock should have stopped.
There was at least 8 seconds
left.
left.
And time kept rolling, and you don't see many protests coming from the San Francisco sideline as the clock just spent itself away. Well, the Packers will go to the locker room with a 17-6 advantage. A Brett Favre touchdown pass, first career to Ravel Martin, 412th career for Favre. And then Frank Gore fumbling deep in 49ers territory. Favre taking advantage of Moncrief with a touchdown run. And that's your 17-6 Packers lead at halftime. Stay tuned for the Visa Halftime Report coming up after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Well, the visiting Packers have historically fared rather well in San Francisco during the Brett Favre era. They're on top 17-6 here at halftime, and back alongside Tim Ryan and J.C. Pearson, Matt Vasgersian. Guys, I guess we got some clarification on that play that led us into halftime.
Did we? I know
the point.
Yeah, they ruled it down by contact here, but I think they should have at least reviewed it upstairs because it is pretty close, Tim. And if this was a fumble, in fact, San Francisco still had a couple timeouts. Can see that ball right there in the knee.
Yeah, the ball was actually coming out just as the knee was going down, and Bill Levy, who's a good official, probably made the right call. And I guess if you were really looking at this thing, the 49ers should have called a timeout, so then they would have forced the booth to review the challenge. Anything under 2 minutes goes to the booth for review. That's probably what should have happened in a perfect world, but certainly close enough that it needed a second look.
Oh, no question. They had 2 timeouts left. Even though there were only going to be about 11 seconds left in that half, you can get a couple plays off, maybe score or get a field goal.
Well, and that's what we did see there with the rush and the sack from Brandon Moore. You need to see more of in the second half. They have got to heat up the rush in Brett Favre's face. He's done a nice job in that first half, especially to Donald Driver.
So officially called a sack at halftime, and not a fumble. Upended crossing the 20 is return man Maurice Hicks as we check in with Laura Oakman.
All right, guys, talk to the coaches. Coach McCarthy saying he's actually thrilled with the tempo. He hasn't said that for a while. He credits that to the substitutions, the offensive substitutions he made coming into this game. He said, Frank Gore, we've got to stop him. We already have 9 in the box. We just have to get the pressure and we have to seal the deal. As for Mike Nolan, he said, we got to play our kind of football, which means we've got to run the ball. They've got nothing after Frank Gore's big run early. And he says the mental errors are killing us. We've been talking about youth all week, you guys, and they're seeing it.
Yeah, Lauren, thanks. It was a 72-yard run by Frank Gore that certainly bolstered the first half total of 106 yards on the ground. Nothing here as Brady Papinga swallows him up on the first play to start the second half. Your first half stats, a lot of rushing yards for San Francisco, but the Packers have had the ball more often.
And time of possession is big for the Packers, and the one thing we don't see here is San Francisco was only 17% on third down, so they're not keeping the ball. They're giving it back to Green Bay, and Green Bay's doing a good job with it.
Well, and you see 10 rushes for 106 yards there for Frank Gore, one of those of 70-plus. Besides that, guys, you're talking about 100 yards of offense and about 26, 27 plays for the 49ers, with that exception of the long run by Frank.
For the latest in fantasy stats, log on to foxsports.com. Gore makes the reception out of the backfield for a 49er first down. Oh, he's an all-purpose guy now. He's not just going to run it up the middle. He'll catch balls out of the backfield all day long.
Yeah, he will, but the problem is one guy's not going to do it for you. They've got to get some other guys involved. Antonio Bryant, they haven't even attempted to throw a ball to him all day. They've got to get Arnaz Battle going, try to get Vernon Davis. They've got to get some of these other guys that are supposed to be playmakers involved.
Antonio Bryant on the field here on 1st and 10. And to Frank Gore, trying to spin around the corner, being chased by Nick Barnett, and finally grabbed by Al Harris.
Anytime you see Billy Badgerman, a second-year tight end, come into the football game, more times than not, it'll be that Tiger personnel with 2 tight ends, and it's going to be a run. And he yo-yos over here, and he gets into this position, and he's just going to try to block and help out Flame Harris on the edge to get Frank out on the perimeter. And Badgerman's a pretty good blocker. That's pretty good stuff there on Aaron Campman. But more times than not, when Big 47 is in the game, and that's a good cue to key and diagnose for Green Bay on defense, it's going to be a run.
5-yard gain on that last play. Maurice Hicks in the backfield now on 2nd and 5. Hicks gets the carry, stuck at the line of scrimmage, perhaps a loss of a yard. A.J. Hawk there, the Packers' leading tackler, makes the stop.
An aggressive play right there. Comes up and takes on Larry Allen. He and Nick Barnett inside, both of them. Good aggressive play right there, strong at the point of attack. You see A.J. Hawk 50 right here. He's going to step up and take on Larry Allen. Jumps right inside of him. Nick Barnett shows up as well.
That's his whole key as a linebacker. When you're sitting in the middle and you're reading the guards of the fullback and you read block down and the backside guard's coming away, pulling out to try to get out in front, get that thing downhill just as A.J. Hawk did.
On this battle in motion, again, Hicks in the backfield, and Alex in the pocket, lets it fly for Antonio Bryant. Big gainer for San Francisco. Taken out of bounds by Al Harris inside the 25.
And that's what they've got to do with a guy like him. He's a big play guy for them. They get him in the slot and they run that corner route. But here's Vernon Davis blocking.
Yeah, and that should be a mismatch again and benefiting Aaron Campman, but they've been happy with the way Vernon Davis blocks. It gives Alex enough time to where he hits him. Man coverage on that corner route to Antonio Bryant.
You can see they start him out in that slot and let him run away from Al Harris.
I'm surprised he's just not more consistent. You know, when you watch Antonio Bryant, it's like he's a big play waiting to happen, but he's too up and down.
They put battle in motion again on 1st down. Alex reading his progressions, finds Vernon Davis. They still can't tackle him. He's finally dropped at the 15 by Marquand Manuel. He is another monster, but different from Larry Allen, who's just built like a house. This guy is cut from the waist up, and there's not an ounce of body fat on him.
Now, waist up, waist down, wherever you want to look, that dude is ripped up. You know, he tested incredible at the combine. 4.38, 42-inch vertical jump, bench press 33 times, 225. I mean, physically, he's got it all.
2nd and 2, Frank Gore up the middle and squirming through the hole in the linebacker unit for a 1st down.
But the thing with him is you can take all that physical talent and all that skill. He has yet to develop a craft. In my mind, in this game, skill, when you mix it with talent, you can't do one or the other. When you finally get the two to meet halfway, the skill and the talent, now you've developed a craft. Vernon Davis isn't there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is a tough transition for college players to get in. And you come in and, you know, he starts like gangbusters, has a touchdown on his first catch and all that, breaks his leg. There's no doubt he's been playing catch-up.
He's got a lot of potential, but you know what potential means? You haven't done it yet.
Exactly.
Warren Norris and Michael Robinson in the backfield with Smith. And the pass caught by Michael Robinson, tackled at the 6-yard line by Nick Barnett. People in Wisconsin may remember Michael Robinson his junior year at Penn State, playing the Wisconsin Badgers. He started the day at receiver, moved to quarterback, and on his first series as a quarterback was hit by Erasmus James, paralyzed for about an hour and a half, and had football taken away from him for a short time. He's one of those guys who's very grateful for every opportunity.
The 49ers took a flyer on him in the 4th round as a quarterback that's going to make a change to running back. And I think that process, JC, has been a little slower than they anticipated in terms of him having a lot of positive runs.
Yeah, he's been a short yardage guy for a while.
Short pass, and Delaney Walker somehow hangs on, but for very little gain. They'll mark it at the 5-yard line. But Delaney Walker, who had caught his first ball of the year earlier this afternoon, has made his second reception here today.
And you'll see more of him, and we're talking a lot of Vernon Davis with Eric Johnson out of the lineup. And I don't care what you say. Eric Johnson, maybe he lost a step here and had an injury. They miss him in this offense.
Especially here.
They miss his leadership. They miss him down in the red zone, knowing where to fit, knowing where to go. They miss number 82 on the field today.
All kinds of people moving at the line as Brian Gilmore and Arnaz battle switch places. 4 wides here for San Francisco.
That's Vernon Davis in the slot.
Alex is off and running. Down shy of the goal line.
Maybe close enough for a first down, though.
Yeah, it should have been a touchdown, and he knows it. He just stumbled over his own feet, lost his balance, lost his footing. That would have been a touchdown easily.
JC, he is much more athletic than anybody knows about Alex Smith.
Yeah.
The guy had over 600 yards rushing his final year at Utah. All those tests at the combine to test explosiveness and speed and leg power and drive. He was top of the charts and all that stuff. So he is a very, very explosive athlete. And as you said, sometimes you try too hard this league and you try yourself right into tripping over your own feet.
Yeah, you can see nobody touched him. He just stumbled and lost his footing. If he hadn't have done that, he would have gotten into the end zone easily.
Well, in this day and age of laser beam technology and yellow lines, they still use the chains in this league, and it looks like San Francisco's just short.
Mike's going to want to challenge this. He wants to challenge that spot. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
There it goes. Well. Oh. Come on.
It's like a hammer throw for him now.
San Francisco's challenging the spot on the field. We'll review.
Was that just an over-the-shoulder toss?
And then he threw it anyway. Wow.
Well, the 49ers' well-dressed coach has already won a challenge this afternoon, challenging again in the second half.
Your flight attendants will be coming.
After Alex Smith was down,
San Francisco will not be charged a timeout and will be given one more challenge.
So Coach Nolan 2 for 2 in his challenges so far this afternoon.
Nolan
That's a big
2
one.
for 2 in challenges? I don't know what he was for the year, but he wasn't batting anywhere close to even 500.
Yeah, that was good. You can see he's got to get to the 1-yard line here. He goes down. No one's touched him yet.
And good heads-up play by him, JC, being on the ground and realizing that and just trying to squirm and crawl for everything he could get to get up near where that first down mark was.
2 big red flags thrown by Nolan, who won his first challenge of the year, then had lost 5 straight coming into this one today. First and goal. Gore. All the 49ers are saying touchdown. And indeed, touchdown San Francisco. Frank Gore's 6th of the year.
Be hard to stop on that goal line with Larry Allen and Jonas Jennings on all those down blocks. And that's their money side now. They need to get a first down. They need to get it into the end zone. They're going right behind 71 and 75, who are just plowing guys at the line of scrimmage.
And your guy, Billy Badgmore, came over and sealed that edge for him.
And the Nenny PAT is through. San Francisco's into the end zone for the first time this afternoon, trailing by only 4. An 11-play drive here that ended in a Frank Gore 1-yard touchdown scurry. And the 49ers have it to a 4-point deficit here with 8:50 left in the third quarter. Vernon Moore in seat deep for Green Bay. Starts to return at the 8 and is wrapped up at the 27-yard line. Let's check in with Laura Oakman.
You know, guys, we've talked to enough 49ers to know you bring up Frank Gore's name, and they all can't say enough about what a great player is. We see that, but what they will go on and on and on about is what a terrific person he is, and you see it just right there. He scores a touchdown. So many guys are busy celebrating by themselves. Frank stood on the sideline right over by the bench, waited for every single offensive lineman to come over, and he high-fived every one of them.
Laura, thanks, and that's where you really feel the love. His linemen absolutely adore this guy.
They need to feel the love. It's Christmas time coming up, and those backs don't normally do good things for their offensive linemen. They really show the love at the end of the year.
Well, and they love, I think all linemen love when a running back breaks tackles. No dancing sideways, gets in the hole quick, and then Frank, which he does do. He exploits the hole as fast as he can get there, which the lineman left, but then breaks tackles and can continue with runs. And you talk about all the stuff that he's good at. He's got good vision. He stays under his pads. And all that. He asked Mike Nolan, he said, I just like Frank.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is who I like.
And you know the big thing is the running backs and the offensive linemen watch film together. So they know exactly what each other's thinking, what they're seeing on every play, and he knows where the holes are.
After a 2-yard pass to William Henderson, this handoff results in precious little as Bryant Young is there to wrap up the ball carrier. So Morency stuffed at the line of scrimmage. By the way, Brett Favre today with 168 yards has gone over 3,000.
BY wins this one. We talked about the matchup. Jason Spitz, the rookie against the 13-year veteran. It's what you call two-gapping right there. Playing the guy right down the center, being able to peel backside or front side. BY just does it picture perfect right there.
3rd and 5. Favre will work out of the shotgun with Noah Herron in the backfield. Thrown right out Walt Harris. Donald Driver was already down on his knees. It looked like Harris was the intended receiver there. Incomplete, and that'll bring on John Ryan and the punting unit.
But you can see that time they got pressure on Brett Favre. That's something that they didn't do a lot of in the first half. Watch Brandon Moore just comes under Brian Young right there. Confuses the blocking up front. Darren College is late, and now he gets in the face of Brett Favre.
Lucky that didn't get picked off and taken the other way by Walt Harris.
Brandon Williams deep for San Francisco after Green Bay's first 3 and out of the game. Williams going east-west, and now moving upfield, taken out of bounds at the 43-yard line by Rob Davis. Defense tightening up for San Francisco. 7:09 left in the third quarter as San Francisco will begin a drive with their best field position of the afternoon. Smith and company going to work at their 43-yard line.
Woodson, fellas, back in the lineup.
Warren Norris, the man in motion, and the hand to who else but Frank Gore. Well, the 49ers get into the end zone on their last drive, on really their most productive drive of the afternoon.
Spread the ball around. You see they throw that deep corner route to Antonio Bryan. They really did a good job. Then Alex used his legs to get it down to the 1, and then Frank Gore just powers it in. You got to work on that dance, though, Tim.
We got a little shake. How about the O-lineman dance? This is an O-line dance. You see that? You see Smiley? That's about all you get from the fist pump. That's about all the move in my groove you're going to get as an offensive guard.
They're too tired to doing all that shaking and stuff.
2nd and 7. Billy Badgman dancing in the backfield. Play action to Gore. Alex looking downfield. And the pass is broken up by Al Harris, intended for Arnaz Battle. Once again, let's check in Los Angeles with Chris Rose.
All right, Matt, Seattle has its first lead of the day. Matt Hasselbeck to Darrell Jackson for his league-leading 10th touchdown catch of the year. Remember, if Seattle wins and the Niners lose, the Seahawks are division champs. Back to Matt, JC, and Tim.
Yeah, Chris, thanks. That'll take some of the luster off that midweek matchup between San Francisco and Seattle coming up on Thursday.
You almost get the feeling watching that Seattle team that they're getting healthy at the right time. Matthew Hasselbeck and Sean and those guys getting back in the mix, getting some guys healthy.
Yeah, Robbie Tobiak back. Guys are getting healthy right when they're supposed to, right when they need to be most.
San Francisco 3 of 8 on 3rd down this afternoon. Make it 3 of 9 as the pass is incomplete, intended for Battle.
You know, this is an incomplete pass, but we talk about all the stuff that Frank Gore does as the MVP of this football team in terms of running the ball and catching it out of the backfield. Watch the blitz pickup right here as A.J. Hawk tries to take the corner. Whoop! He's just going to take his legs right out from under him. Frank is a very savvy player and a smart guy. You never see a lot of busts in terms of him and his blitz pickup and going the wrong way. A very savvy and intelligent player for a second-year guy.
And Alex Smith's got to help him out a little. See that pressure coming from the edge and step up in the pocket.
So the 49ers failed to take advantage of great field position. Woodson hoping that punt bounces into the end zone. It checks up nicely for San Francisco, and Green Bay will go to work inside the 5. A couple of good defensive series on both sides of the ball, back-to-back 3 and outs, and after the punt, the Packers are backed into their worst starting field position of the afternoon. Favre in the pack from their own 3. Short pass is out of reach of the intended target, Donald Reed. Well, guys, we were talking about Seattle being in control in the NFC West, and they're doing it by getting healthy, Tim, as you mentioned, at just the right time. How about elsewhere in the NFC? Tony Romo has made all the difference in Dallas.
Boy, what a coaching decision by Bill Parcells to pull out and sit down Drew Bledsoe, bring in Romo, and then obviously get rid of the kicker as well. And then the Bears. I wonder about this team, though. With Rex Grossman and now Tommy Harris, their stud D tackle could have some issues. And there's the team right there in New Orleans that I think has surprised everybody around the National Football League.
The most surprising team in the league, I think, by far, the Saints.
Ahman Green creates a little bit of room as Brian Young makes the tackle past the 5, a gain of 5 yards.
You know, talking about the Saints, everybody talks about, you know, Reggie Bush and those guys, but Drew Brees, man, talk about that guy coming from San Diego. They kind of gave up on him. He hurt his shoulder, had shoulder surgery. Guy comes back, he knows how to win. He just has it.
That's right. And credit to New Orleans for taking a medical risk, trusting their doctors that we can go with this guy, and it's paid off big time.
On 3rd and 5, San Francisco in the nickel package, a rough snap. Favre gets it back and throws it away. Brian Young applying the pressure for San Francisco. Oh, and you can see Brett get a little bit froggy with his center there.
Still a tremendous competitor, man, any way you look at it. And BY in year 13, these guys have matched up quite a bit against each other. You see BY, bad snap. Brett's got to take his eyes off the football field. Anytime you get a snap like that, the quarterback's got to look down, he's toast, because he's now got to refocus down the field.
Yeah, I think Wells has snapped that ball off of his own backside.
Brandon Williams taking the punt east-west and then south as he gets backed up by Tracy White. Again, however, great starting field position for San Francisco. Well, Brett Favre and the Green Bay offense without a first down this half as they were forced to punt once again.
Well, that's been the difference here in the second half, because first half Brett was pretty precise and pretty effective in terms of throwing the football and moving around. They've heated him up a little bit in the second half and have taken that effectiveness away.
San Francisco begins the drive with still better field position inside Green Bay territory, just across midfield. And here's Frank Gore chewing up more yardage on the ground, a pickup of 8 yards.
And man, Jonas Jennings, that left tackle, he just washes that whole defensive lineman down.
Well, he took Colin Jenkins and just ran him about 6 yards to the sideline. Here's Jonas here. He's going to block down on this defender, and watch where he takes him.
He doesn't just block down on him. Takes him down, just throws him down.
And Jonas is really starting to settle in now. You can tell that he's starting to get healthy and showing up on Sunday.
Gore again, and this time A.J. Hawk and company are there for the Packers stop.
And you can see they like to run behind that left side. Big Jonas Jennings, Larry Allen. That time they just run the power right between those guys again for positive yards.
That's the play he loves, that old 70 power. He'll tell you, man, we need to run the football. It's what we do. Frank's our guy. He said, I got to block for Travis Henry in Buffalo. I got to block for Willis McGahee in Buffalo. And all he said, Frank stacks up with the best of them, man. We love blocking and playing with Frank Gore.
He said Frank is a football player. Nothing else needs to be said. He's the real deal.
3rd and 2 play action. Alex out on the corner, and that one's picked off. Nick Collins. A ball that was underthrown. Collins was there to swallow it up.
That's a bad mistake, fellas, by the quarterback, Alex Smith. He throws it late. Vernon Davis was so open on that corner route, it wasn't even funny. Alex has, for some reason, tried to buy more time, and he gets further away from the pocket and then just unloads a bad ball, short, underneath, easy pick for Nick Collins.
You got to take advantage of your opportunities. That's what they didn't do last week in New Orleans. He missed some wide open guys down the field, and that was another example right there. You got to get rid of that ball earlier. I think he's thinking too much, trying to be too perfect, and when you do that, that's when you normally mess up.
JC, you just got to let it go. Isn't that what he told us on Friday? You just got to let it go.
Just got to go play.
Packers winning the turnover battle. 2 turnovers by the 49ers. Favre hangs it in the air just out of reach of Donald Lee, who had some room across midfield. Let's go back to the interception here.
Here's Vernon Davis. You're going to see him run a corner route, and watch how open he is as Alex rolls this way. I mean, he has got the leverage walled on that safety. That's all day long. Alex is late, and then a bad throw, and Collins, JC's able to undercut it for an easy pick.
And with a guy like Vernon Davis, the sooner you get the ball in his hands, the better off you're going to be, because now he can use all that athletic ability and make a big play for you.
2nd and 10 now for Green Bay. Brett with plenty of time. Down the middle of the field, jump ball. There's Donald Driver. Driver still on his feet. Touchdown, Pack! A 68-yard hookup with Brett Favre and his favorite target.
What did they tell us, Mike Nolan, about Brett? Can't let him pump once, can't let him pump twice. We got to get the ball out of his hands. And it looked like they had a little bit of gut pressure up front. Brett tapped that ball. He patted it 3 times before he finally unloaded it to Donald Driver right down the middle of the field.
That's what he said. If we allow him to do that, we're in trouble. In the back end, that's where they struggled all year, and you see why. They lose their guy.
Oh, you can smell the beer and brats all the way from Rhinelander and that. Who said Brett Favre doesn't have fun playing football anymore?
That was an answered prayer, boys. He just put that up. And Driver went right underneath it and broke a couple of tackles.
That's as fast as he's run in a long time.
He's got a piano on his back.
Yeah, already.
Look at him.
Look at him. Just watch down the field. Things break down, and they just lose their guy. Everybody's staring at Brett Favre instead of covering their men down the field. See, Donald Driver, he just breaks his route off and just goes and catches the player.
What an adjustment by Donald Driver, JC, knowing where his leverage points were in terms of the coverage and that everything was funneled inside. He wasn't designed to go back outside, broke it off to the opening, and Brett was able to find him, and then it's all just second effort punching it in for 6.
Soda's on the house at Walski's. A reminder, tonight on Fox, catch an all-new episode of the Emmy Award-winning smash hit House. That touchdown tandem has been active for 33 times to tie a team record for the Packers.
And when things start breaking down, the one guy you better find is number 80. Find where he is and get him covered. If you don't cover anybody, that's the guy to cover.
Brandon Williams taking the kick back from the end zone across the 20. Patrick Dendy gets him out of bounds at the 25. As we were saying, Tuesday night on Fox, catch an all-new episode of the Emmy Award-winning smash hit House, Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, right here on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised. Little taller order now for San Francisco, down by 11. 3:31 left in the third quarter. Again, the Niners have turned it over twice as Smith INT and a Frank Gore fumble that came in the first half. Gore, tackled by Aaron Campman.
Boy, Brett Favre, watching him play, fellas, for all these years and his starting streak and all that stuff intact, how transparent has he been throughout the 16 in his career? I mean, Brett is a guy that has always worn his emotions on his sleeve. The Super Bowl win against New England down in New Orleans. His one Lambeau leap, which is about a half of a Lambeau leap. And he'll tell you, the guy that he'll always remember from his time in Green Bay, he saw it there at the end, was with Reggie White. He said the thing about Reggie was never bigger than the game. And Brett says, I don't want to be bigger than the game. And that's kind of how I want my legacy remembered, as a guy that respected this game and lived this game and was never bigger than the game.
And was a team guy, a guy that his teammates could relate to. He could help them on the field, help them off the field. And that's how he wants to be remembered, as one of those legends that like Reggie White, who was not unapproachable.
And I'll tell you another thing about him is Brett told us over the last couple of years, this point in the season, he'd go home and talk to the wife, I'm done. I'm packing it in. Not once this year, despite the record, has Brett Favre felt like packing it in.
They split Frank Gore out wide on 3rd and 9, empty backfield for Alex Smith. Cullen Jenkins gets him wrapped up around the ankles. Aaron Campman is there, and Alex Smith is sacked.
That time, Eric Heitman, the center, he just gets beat, Tim. Just right off the jump, he gets beat and gets pushed all the way back into the quarterback.
And they've given up a lot of sacks this year, have the San Francisco 49ers. Cullen Jenkins, oh yeah, he just went right back across his face. Larry Allen looked like he slid out in some type of slide protection, opened it up that gap to where Cullen Jenkins is able to penetrate right up the gut. Worst thing for quarterbacks for the sack.
Andy Leon with the punting unit as Charles Woodson takes it at the 35. No fair catch called for as Woodson dances and finally is down at the 40-yard line. Time for a game break to Los Angeles with Chris Rose.
All right, Matt. If you're Matt Miner, what do you do with your big receivers? Just throw it up and let them catch it. Larry Fitzgerald does for the 4th time this season in the end zone, and the Cardinals have a 3-point lead over Seattle. Back to Matt, JC, and Tim.
Once again, the NFC West hanging in the balance this afternoon. Seattle on the verge of wrapping things up once again. They'll have to come from behind late today. So Green Bay starts with good field position once again at the 42-yard line.
Now look, Sammy Davis is out. Now they've got a safety, Mark Hudson, playing at the cornerback position.
Favre dumps it down as Amon Green is tackled at the 45-yard line by Jeff Ulbrich and Walt Harris. First down, Packers.
And that's got to be a guy that they're going to go after. We talked about how thin they were in the secondary. Shante Spencer didn't dress today. Donald Strickland out. Then now Sammy Davis goes out. Now they go with Hudson, who's actually a safety.
And a rookie on top of it.
That they've got to throw out there on that island outside. You know, he's a guy that they're going to be going after.
Driver in motion. And a quick toss back to Vernon Morrissey with room. And another Packer first down.
Is Jason Spitz the perfect Packer or what out there at guard for this group? Their 3rd-round draft choice. He gets a terrific block right here that springs the ball carrier right up the gut. This guy is just talking to him. How's Green Bay? You like the phenomenal town. Phenomenal town. Can't get in trouble. We're the king of our own castle. He is like a perfect Green Bay Packer. This zone scheme, everything suits him well. Just a quality pick for Green Bay, and getting him in round number 3 and has paid dividends really from week 1.
You can see that he's got that nasty attitude to him.
That little smirk on his face, right?
The ultimate Packer leading the way for Green Bay on the road. Fox NFL Sunday returns after a word from your local Fox station. Fourth quarter underway in San Francisco. Green Bay on top, 24-13. And one of the things, guys, Mike Nolan told us on Friday he worried about, 2 of the things actually have happened. The Packers' ability to run, and it looks like Green's getting it together, and Favre getting hot. Both of those things are happening today. First and 10 from the San Francisco 35. Here's Amon Green. And a gain of 3 yards to the right side of the line. So what do you do defensively? You're San Francisco. You kind of have an idea coming into this game where the ball's going, and it so far hasn't worked out.
Well, I think you got to put the pressure on Mike Nolan and that defense and those players, because you know Donald Driver's the go-to guy. You know he's going to get the rock. Amon Green is clearly their running back who's going to get most of the touches, and those guys have slammed them today. They've taken the other guys out of the game, but the big money players for the Packers have come through big time. San Francisco's going to get that short up.
And they haven't taken the ball away. The turnovers is something that when they've been those 3 wins on their winning streak, they were taking the ball away from people. But now that they've lost a couple games, they've gotten away from that. They haven't taken the ball away very often at all. And today they haven't done it at all. And that's really what's hurt this defense. They haven't taken the ball away.
Well, and here's the problem, too. And I know that Mike Nolan, you guys, wants to blitz more. I know he does. But when you're already without Shante Spencer, now you don't have Donald Strickland, you're already with other guys, how good do you really feel about your matchups out on the island and keeping those guys in one-on-one looks with the man coverage because of the blitz?
If you can't cover, you can't blitz.
Turnovers have certainly been a part of the story here today as well. On third down, Favre's pass is caught by Ravel Martin, shy of a first down. So Dave Rayner in the field goal unit will make an appearance here for the Pack. This will be a 44-yard attempt for Rayner. His career and season-long 54, so this well within the range of the second-year Michigan State man. And Rayner is up and good. Green Bay adding on the road.
NFL Sunday.
Tell you fellas, down 14 here in the fourth. Pressure right to Alex Smith. And can he bring this team back with a passing game? And I know Frank Gore, there's still a lot of time, and Frank will be part of the game plan. But the pressure's got to intensify now on Alex. And if you look at it through 3 quarters, he's got 2 hookups, guys, to his wide receivers. One to Bryant, one to Battle. That's got to pick up here in the last 13 minutes.
Brandon Williams starts the return from inside the 5. Oh, he had a seam up the middle, but lost his footing and is down at the 23-yard line. Credit Vernon Morency with the tackle on special teams for the Pack. Well, the last 3 possessions for San Francisco have resulted in 3 and outs and a turnover.
And Alex has got to shake that last turnover off, that interception, which was just a bad pass, trying to get it to Vernon Davis on that little waggle, that corner route. Davis was wide open, but Alex got to shake that off now. He said that last week, guys, Alex Smith said he hit the wall mentally. He said, I absolutely hit the wall. I've been pressing too hard after that New Orleans game. Said he came out this week, let it go, played free, had his best week of practice. So far, that hasn't translated into the game today.
And some catching up to do. Packers load up front, and Smith's pass is batted away. Ryan Pickett swatted down the Smith pass attempt.
And Alex Smith, he's just got to get his guys, his big play guys involved. You see the tight ends and the running backs have 6 catches. The wide receivers only 3 total, so there's not a lot of big plays being made by him. You got to get Antonio Bryant. You got to get Arnaz Battle. You got to find somebody down the field. And you know, he told us that this week in practice he threw the ball better than he's ever thrown it. It felt good about coming in, but really when you look at the numbers, he hasn't played well since week 6. He hasn't thrown for over 171 yards since week 6, so he's struggling throwing the ball.
Gilmore splits wide. Smith has a target. Vernon Davis across midfield. Awfully tough to tackle. Down at the 41-yard line. Nick Collins finally brought him down for Green Bay.
They got a penalty. What's going on?
It's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Oh, my.
Levy's got something in the backfield. He made that call so quick, fellas, we didn't even see it. I mean, he did. So I couldn't see it from up here, just in fact what the call was, but clearly they've moved him back. Probably a holding call, I would imagine. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, that's a good example of what Vernon Davis can bring to this offense, though, is he can stretch the middle of the field and run that seam and run away from those linebackers.
So it makes it a 2nd and 20 now. The right shot, a big 37-yard gainer. Smith's next pass is incomplete. Fans think the hit came early on Arnaz Battle, but let's go back to the hold that wiped away the Vernon Davis gainer.
And that's what it was, and it was on Justin Smiley right here, the right offensive guard. They're going to send a blitz right at him. Oh, he just tackles A.J. Hawk. Just tackled him. Alex actually did a decent job of stepping up that time, and Justin Smiley just wrapped him up, thinking his quarterback was going to get knocked down, and just tackled A.J. Hawk.
You know, it's so cliche to talk about penalties and turnovers. You can see not a single penalty charge to the Packers. They haven't turned it over, and they lead here in the 4th.
Hey, it's not rocket science. Play fundamentally sound. Good things happen to you.
49ers are 0 for 4 on 3rd and long today. This is 3rd and 20 and incomplete.
That was just a bad throw again. And Antonio Bryant is showing his frustrations again with Alex Smith. But they just run across her he and Vernon Davis, both of them are wide open, and Alex Smith throws it in the middle of it. So neither one knows who's getting the ball.
Yeah, he's going to come here, and then you'll see Vernon Davis, the crossing route that you talked about.
Look,
neither had any idea. I think that was going to Vernon.
Yeah, and I think Vernon
thought it was going to Antonio.
Yeah, took his eyes off of it, and Antonio Bryant, again, being very demonstrative with his frustration.
What was that? Animation, domination?
Got a wall. Got a wall.
There goes Charles Woodson. And the ex-Raider is deep into 49er territory before the punter himself can tackle him at the 17. A 44-yard punt and a 41-yard return.
That's his biggest return all year, too. He struggles back there when you look at his numbers.
In special teams, he catches it on the numbers. Then he's able to get all the way to the wide side of the field. You can see all the white jerseys with that wall set up. A right return. They do a good job.
Guy? Where's Chad Williams out there giving up the perimeter, giving up contain? That was the bust on the play right there.
Well, we sound like a broken record, but Green Bay has benefited from increasingly good field position to start drives, and Mont Green is inside the 10. Melvin Oliver finally drops him, and Favre and the Packers are threatening to run and hide here with 12 minutes and ticking in the fourth quarter. That will certainly tell the story. We were just talking about field position for the Packers. It's been phenomenal in the second half, and a lot better than that of the 49ers all afternoon. Second and a yard, and flags all over the place.
Don't start.
Right guard.
Number 72 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second out.
It was the aforementioned rookie guard Jason Spitz. And the first penalty of the afternoon charged to the Packers.
So you see that look on his face? That's that same look that he's got when he's chopping guys down in that zone scheme up front. D linemen hate it. And what did he tell us with a grin on his face? As he goes, if they complain, you got them really good. It's all within the rules, fellas. Had that sideways smirk on his face. He enjoys being nasty and gritty.
So the Packers backed up to the 14. Amon Green on the ground and tackled shy at the 10-yard line. Isaac Sopoaga in on the hit for San Francisco. That big run-stuffing tackle.
Here's Jason Spitz right here as he's trying to get off on Isaac Sopoaga. Sopoaga's going to win that one now. That's the thing that bothers you. If you're a 49er coach, fan, and with this defense, Sopoaga has got so much ability, and you saw a good flash of it there.
Consistency, though.
But the consistency is lacking game in and game out. He's 350 pounds. He can be a wrecking ball right in the middle if he wants to be.
But he only plays in spurts. Got to give it every down. Got to dominate.
3rd and 4. Favre looking off a defender and finding a target. Donald Driver, first down, Packers.
When are you going to understand that you've got to cover number 80? Doesn't matter where everybody else is going. Make sure that someone understands where number 80 is lined up and where 80 is running and get him covered.
You know, as we were talking about Alex Smith earlier, when he gets out of the pocket, he doesn't keep his eyes down the football field. Brett never lets the play die. He's threatening the edge, threatening the edge. As soon as his guy flashes open, Brett knows Donald Driver's in front of the first down stick and fires it to him. Keeps it alive every time with his eyes.
Donald Driver has had an enormous afternoon here on the road. 9 catches, 160 yards. So on 1st and goal, Amon Green inside the 5. Brandon Moore making the tackle for San Francisco, and time is winding down on the host 49ers as we're inside of 10 minutes with the Packers knocking on the door once again.
And this Niners defense, they've struggled lately. In the last 3 games, they've given up over 300 yards of offense in each game. And last 2 games, they haven't been able to stop the run. And it's been one thing after another for this defense. And as a whole, we talked about Sopoaga, but as a whole, this defense has no consistency.
2nd and goal. Wide open receiver down the middle of the field. Boy, Brett Favre had a wide open target in Amon Green. And Brandon Moore was there to interfere as Brett tried to change his direction.
No, he threw it to Bubba Franks, and Ahman Green is wide open. Nobody around him, and Brett doesn't see him. He tries to throw it to Bubba Franks.
I think Brandon Moore's a little gassed, fellas. I think he's out of breath. I mean, this has been a nice drive by the Packers, starting with good field position. That's right in his hands.
Yeah, that's a play you got to make.
It's a missed opportunity right there.
But watch Ahman Green. Look at Ahman Green, wide open.
Brandon Moore says he wants to be a staple in this defense, not just a role player. Those are the kind of plays, JC, he's got to make.
3rd and 4. Favre shovels it to Vernon Morency, who is stopped shy of the goal line once again. Marcus Hudson applied the hit for San Francisco, and the Pack will have to settle with 3 points as Dave Rayner comes onto the field.
You know, right now for Green Bay, that's a win. If they can still get 3 points here, make it a 3-score game, and really for them, they just want the clock to continue to move. The clock right now is their best friend.
Chip shot for Rayner, who's already been good twice today. And the Dave Rayner 3-pointer makes it a 30-13 lead for the Packers. Well, 13 unanswered Packer points, Yadier. Have the visiting Pack on top 30-13 here with 8:47 left in the 4th quarter in San Francisco.
It's been a trend by this 49er defense over the last several weeks, really all year. They can't keep people out of the end zone now, fellas.
Yeah, and this is a huge game for them, too. You know, they're still in the playoff hunt and everything. They just came out here. And so far, they you know, just no sense of urgency. Just having nobody stepping up and making plays.
Brandon Williams bringing it out for San Francisco across the 20 to 25, and with some room down the sideline, taken out across the 45-yard line by the kicker, Dave Rayner. Good field position for San Francisco when we come back. 30-13 Green Bay with 8:40 left in the 4th quarter. A lot on the line for San Francisco, and they have really been frustrated so far this afternoon here at home. As JC mentioned earlier, a 3-score affair in this deficit for Alex Smith. They'll begin the possession at the 46. And the KGB came all the way into the
offside.
Ukraine.
Number 94, defense, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know why that happened, Tim. They know it's a passing situation. They know San Fran's got to throw the ball to get back in this game. So all those guys up front just pin their ears back, get in that sprinter stance.
Still got to watch the ball, though, as a defensive lineman. I mean, you got to glance in there at the football. When that moves, you move. I'll tell you why they don't let that go as a free play. The defensive end gets beyond the offensive tackle.
Unabated.
All about the health of the quarterback to keep him clean so they just blow it down.
Gore in motion at the backfield for Smith. And the pass caught by Frank Gore. 1st down San Francisco. A.J. Hawk on the tackle for the Packers. So Smith will try to hurry it along now.
These guys got to turn the intensity up, fellas. I mean, they're fighting for their playoff lives here. 8 minutes to go, down 17. You got to roll.
Time ticking with 8:15 and counting. Smith again. And this one caught by Fern Davis, taken out of bounds at the 19-yard line. Marquand Manuel with Packer coverage.
And I think that's something that's going to help Alex Smith is by going to no huddle. You don't have a lot of time to think about what you're going to do. You just have to line up and you got to go, and now you have to play. Let your athletic ability, let your talent take over. And I think that's something that he struggled with. I think the mental aspect of the game, seems like he's thinking too much.
JC, I don't care what position you are. You overthink, you stink on the football field in this game. And when you go play fast, mentally, physically, you really start to show up.
I like that. Almost like paralysis by analysis.
All right, let's relax on the Nipsey Russell stuff here. Alex is picked off. A.J. Hawk bringing it back out of the end zone. And Hawk is finally taken down by Brian Gilmore. That one hurts.
And again, a badly thrown ball.
Get some air under it. Please. You got him. You get some air under it. It's a touchdown.
You know know, we go back to that interception by Alex Smith. He starts pressing and he reverts back to some old bad habits. Look at his eyes. He looks one way the entire time, straight to Vernon Davis. But the problem is the safeties are reading his eyes also. And look how they converge on the ball before the ball's even thrown. And then A.J. Hawk gets his first career interception. He just runs right underneath Vernon Davis.
What do young quarterbacks do in this league when they got to make a play?
Stare at one guy.
Exactly. We talked about those safeties playing well in the open. They've been solid today versus the pass.
Amon Green tackled to the 24-yard line. As the Packers keep it on the ground, Manny Lawson made the stop for San Francisco. I want to get back to something we talked about earlier, guys, the fact that there was so much on the line for the 49ers today. We mentioned earlier how they were on the periphery of the playoff picture in that crowded NFC wildcard scenario. Of the 6-6 teams that started play today, 3 of them won. Minnesota started play 5-7. They have won. St. Louis plays tomorrow. Here's Green around the right side. So if everybody was able to win, or most of the teams in San Francisco's area won, you know, there's too much separation here at this point.
Yeah, and that's something that they've talked about for the last 3 weeks. When they got to 500, everybody was putting them in the playoff. They were the surprise team. Mike Nolan talked to his guys about, hey, we've got to expect to get to the playoff and put that pressure on them and see how they responded. And they just haven't responded. The last 3 weeks, they've come out and not played well.
And I think that's what Mike Nolan was trying to get across. Whether they get to the playoffs or not this year, it was about setting the mindset for a December run and turning your game up an extra notch. A lot of young guys on this team don't understand that. So when they are in this position sometime in the future, they'll know how to react.
Yeah, he can refer back to, remember when we were in that position.
We had a chance, remember, and we went out against Green Bay.
Right.
Gave about 70% of what we needed to give.
Now Brian Young still giving everything he's got, and he's able to wrap up Amon Green and force a 3-and-out after the interception.
And I really believe Mike Nolan is clearly the guy for this job, fellas. I mean, he's built this offense with young guys. He's still got ways to go. Defensively, help's coming. Telling you, draft free agency, they got a bunch of picks.
Got a lot of picks. They've had to make some tough decisions.
Yep.
Exactly.
Brandon Williams at the 22, up center field, and taken down at the 47-yard line. Coming this February, the world's best drivers return to Fox, going door to door to see who'll take home the checkered flag in the 49th running of the Great American Race. Beginning in February '07, Fox Sports is the exclusive home to the Daytona 500. 5:27 left in regulation, with San Francisco facing a 17-point rather deficit here. My math skills are right. Once again, we get back to the USC thing. You are what you are.
Easy.
On 1st and 10, Smith's pass is caught by Vernon Davis for a 49er first down. Davis, oh, you just can't bring this big man down. Touchdown, San Francisco. My heavens, imagine what would happen here if Vernon Davis got the ball a little bit more.
And that's what we talked about earlier in the game, is the sooner you can get the ball in his hands and allow him to do what we just saw there, break some tackles, run away from some guys, the better. And what's happened today is Alex has waited a little too long to get the ball to him.
Well, I think defensively, too, Green Bay is playing softer now than they were earlier in the game on Vernon Davis. Gave him some more room on that little drive route out there to the sideline. And you're thinking, man, not a lot of, get out of bounds. Not with a guy like that. Stay in bounds, make it happen, and he fights and makes it in for a touchdown.
Boy, that being true, it's still pretty impressive to watch Vernon Davis run through guys like Nick Collins and company. And something happens on the snap. That's a live ball. Patrick Dendy picks it up.
Yeah, something happened all right. He just didn't catch the snap. So, you know, when you going back to that touchdown, Vernon Davis just going to run across her. You can see him right there, just run as a quick, short, shallow crosser, get him the ball in front of everybody, and Woodson doesn't really want to tackle him. Marquand Manuel just misses him, and now he just uses his speed and cuts back across the grain and gets into the end zone.
That's why the guy's the number 6 pick in the draft. With that size and the ability to run like that, cut back against the grain in open field, and split cornerbacks, break safety tackles, and then split corners with speed. That's impressive.
You know, let's get back to the big picture stuff, because we were talking about the import of this game to the 49ers in a late playoff push. The last team to get into the postseason from the NFC with an 8-8 record, and realistically, that's something that the 49ers were hoping for this year at 5-7. It was the 2004 Vikings. The NFL doesn't really love when 8-8 teams get into the postseason, but the NFC is set up for one of those teams at around 500, maybe to make it this year.
Well, it's going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough when you look at that wild card race. You got the Giants and the Eagles, the Falcons. Those guys at 7-6. You know, it's going to be tough to get in at 8-8. I think there's too many teams that are a couple games but beyond that for everyone to fall back to the pack.
Here's the great example for everybody that's still alive in this thing. Where were the Steelers last year in Week 13? I know they were a game below 500 and ready to make a run, and they went on and finished all the way through December into the postseason, went to Detroit, and took home the Lombardi Trophy.
The key thing that you said there is they made a run in December. And if you want to be a playoff team, you want to get there, you've got to make a run in December, and that's something that the Niners haven't done.
Charles Woodson back inside the 5 to start the return. Around 5 minutes left on the game clock, and Woodson will run himself out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Well, the 49ers had shown the ability to come back after big losses earlier this year. Remember, the blowout in Chicago was followed by a 3-game winning streak, but Brett Favre is up to his old tricks in this stadium once again. He's never lost a regular season game here.
And I wonder why the Niners don't onside kick it there. 5 minutes left. You need a couple scores. Your defense hasn't played well.
It's not like they haven't onside kicked a few times this year in unconventional situations.
They got one last week against the Saints. I don't know why they didn't do it.
It's a manageable 2-score deficit for San Francisco, and the quick pass is caught to the right. It's Carlisle Holiday, the newest Packer, who gets himself onto the scorebook ink today.
So what are you guys' feelings on Brett Favre in 2007?
I think he's back.
Do you? Well, I know physically they'll tell you he's got 2 years left in him.
Yeah.
But do you make the same mistake as you made last year? And hear me out. Brett's a legend. He's a 3-time MVP, going to the Hall of Fame, all that. Do you restrict the growth of your football team if you're Mike McCarthy in a win-now league so that Brett Favre can stick around and get Dan Marino's touchdown records as a Green Bay Packer?
I don't think what Brett Favre is right now in his career and where this team is right now and in its development is a good match next season. You know, like you said, Brett Favre still has a lot of ability, can still make some plays for you, but now you hinder the development of Aaron Rodgers. Even though he's got a foot injury now, he'll be healthy next year. You've got all these other young players getting valuable experience and playing time right now. But then as a group, the organization, your quarterback doesn't develop for another year. So now 2 years down the line, you've got an inexperienced quarterback playing.
Did you see him breaking Danny Marino's touchdown records all time in a Tampa Bay uniform?
No.
I think that sickens the Green Bay fans.
Well, what do you want?
At the same time, you've got to build this team the right way for the future.
It's a team game, and it's an organization that has to get better.
The 3rd and 7 pass is caught by Bubba Franks. So the Packers convert on 3rd down. Well, how about notable quarterbacks changing uniforms late in their careers? How many people remember Johnny U as a lightning bolter, Fran Tarkenton with a Giant? This just looks foreign to all of us.
How about this for all the 49er fans that are watching? Could they ever imagine that?
Yeah, but that just goes to show you that it can happen, and it does happen.
Most finish on the road.
Exactly.
It's just the way it is in this business.
That's the way this business is. Very few guys go out on their own terms.
And talking to Brett last night, is it Green Bay or nowhere? Presented that question to him. He sounded about 85-90% that it was Green Bay or bust.
I think Brett knows that he can play with all the diplomatic immunity afforded to a head of state as long as he's in Green Bay. And he made it very clear. If he changed uniforms, he'd be viewed as a savior by whoever he's playing for next year, and there'd be all kinds of undue pressure on him. I think he likes it just fine in the state of Wisconsin.
But what was key for me is he said, I don't know if I'm up to that challenge. I don't know if I can go somewhere else and with all that pressure, be the guy that they expect me to be.
Everybody buys Favre's counter action, and his pass is caught by Greg Jennings for another Green Bay first down as we check in with more on Brett Favre with Laura Oakman.
All right, guys, mind you, this was after 3 straight losses, but Brett told me he used to know he was contributing to the team on the field, but sometimes he finds himself questioning that right now. We see that. Now, I said to him, well, you have to know you're contributing off the field with all these young players, and he said, you know what, I'm not even sure of that anymore. And guys, for all the people who think he knows his future, I think we can all say just spend 5 minutes with him, and I think we all know he really has no clue right now. I think it depends. Is it a win or is it a loss, and which way is he feeling that day?
You know, another thing he said, too, is he's not going to consult a lot of people in trying to make a decision, because he said that really the buck stops with him, that he's got to make the decision, and a year from now, if someone helps him make the decision, that he's going to be one. You know, I wonder if I should have done, and maybe this guy talked me out of it, like, he doesn't really have a sounding board, I guess is my point, to bounce things off of in terms of his future.
You know, and it's hard from a player standpoint, Tim. We've been there. You always feel like you can play at a high level. You always feel that, and the last person to realize that you can't do it like you used to do it is yourself. And, you know, Brett can still play, obviously, but he's not the same Brett that he was, you know, 7-8 years ago.
Well,
he's surrounded by a young average team, guys.
Yeah, and what does it say to the franchise, too? I mean, look at what's happened here in the Bay Area with the Giants. Could they have afforded to not bring Barry Bonds back this year? It's almost a similar situation with Favre in terms of what he means to the uniform. And, you know, meanwhile, you've got Aaron Rodgers, who's been hoping for a chance, the former Cal Berkeley standout.
I think his injury complicates things, too, to be honest with you.
Off to Vernon Morency is across midfield as we are winding down to the 2.5-minute mark in San Francisco.
And, you know, they really like Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy raved about his ability and his talent and, you know, what he could do on the field. So, you know, what do you do with that guy? Do you sit him down for another year? And, you know, yeah, Brett's been great. Brett's the face of the franchise, and he's been it for so many years. But, you know, like you said, Tim, this is a game that you've got to win now. This is a league now and an environment you've got to win now. And, you know, can this team win next year with still a young team and with Brett Favre being what he is? You know, do you hinder the development going forward?
Well, it's a catch-22, really, if you're the Green Bay Packers, and I think a very difficult decision as they approach the offseason and kind of the direction that they're going to head with their Hall of Fame quarterback, Brett Favre.
49ers have spent their final timeout. With more on Aaron Rodgers, let's go back to Laura Oakman.
Well, I talked to Aaron today. He actually is making the first trip since his injury 3 weeks ago, and he said he's ready. He's going to be ready whenever they call on him, but he is trying so hard to be right now to be a good pupil, to be the guy that listens to Brett and says that Brett and him are finally becoming friends because he knows his role. Right now it's the backup until they call him.
Vernon Morency bounces off a pile and breaks free. There he goes. Can Keith Lewis wrestle him out of bounds? He does inside the 10. A 38-yard pickup for Green Bay.
And what Brett Favre just, you know, he just wants to get in on some of the action right now. He doesn't have to go and make a block, but watch him. Watch him. He's going to see Morency break out of there. Look at him. He's going to sprint down the field faster than he's run in years and goes down there.
Trying to chop down Ronald Fields.
And he chops down Ronald Fields. Look at that.
Come on, Brett. How about Mark Roman coming up in the hole and just sliding down? No chance at getting Vernon Morency down with the tackle. That was ugly.
A career-long run for Vernon Morency. This is Noah Herron down to the 5. Bear in mind that Brett Favre has thrown 2 TD passes today to run the career total to 413. Now just 7 shy of Dan Marino's all-time record. We've reached the 2-minute warning. All... 10-1 in San Francisco since the start of the 95 season. The Packers are about to run their record to an even healthier 11-1 as time is winding down here. The 49ers out of timeouts. You know what? I just got word on my cell phone, guys. All this discussion of Brett Favre maybe not coming back. They're now setting up a border patrol installation at Kenosha And the next time you guys try to drive to Wisconsin from Chicago, they're not going to let you into the state.
Oh, it's you guys now. Now it's you guys.
I'm separating.
You're right here with us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm out of this foxhole. I jumped out about 5 minutes ago.
It's all right. We'll go by boat.
Exactly.
Lake Michigan, right up the coast.
We'll fly over it. How about that? Just being old Wisconsin homer. That's what you
yes,
are.
Sir. Yes, sir.
We'll figure out how to get to that phenomenal town.
It's been a phenomenal afternoon on the road for Green Bay. And as we've discussed, a tough one for San Francisco, who had much more on the line this afternoon than the Pack.
Again, I think one that San Francisco is going to have to grow from, fellas. A missed opportunity. Heck, coming into the game today, they were the 9 seed. We know 6 get in to the playoffs out of the NFC. With a win, they were 1 win away from the 5 seed. Huge missed opportunity for this football team today.
Hey, while time ticks away, we want to take a moment to wish a very special happy birthday to a special member of our group. Gene Matty Matthews celebrates his 70th tomorrow. He's been at Fox Sports since day 1, still going strong.
Happy birthday, Matty. And not you, Matty.
Yeah, Matty Matthews.
Not after that last comment.
And the Packers can circle this one on their calendar, as they still have not lost a regular season game in San Francisco since December of 1974.
Boy, what a game today, not only for Brett, but Donald Driver. Huh, you guys? Off the hook with his numbers.
Donald Driver, 9 catches, 160 yards. He moved across the 1,000-yard threshold for the 4th time in his career this afternoon, among the highlights posted by the visitors.
Listen to the boos there. The Niners, they take a knee.
I thought that was the victory formation.
Huh? Defeat formation. You're bad, Tim.
Tell you, whatever it is with Brett, we're going to enjoy the rest of the season with him, and whether it's here or somewhere next year or retired, what an awesome time it's been, not only playing against him, but covering him and watching him for all these years in pro football. And when he's on his game, man, fun guy to watch.
Great guy on the field and off the field.
A couple of TD passes for him today as he continues to chase down Dan Marino's record.